What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder, where we talk all things Marvel and MCU. I'm your host, Warren Thompson, and it looks like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is actually going to be bigger than we thought it was. Now, of course, we already knew that this movie was going to be a massive movie. This is a movie that is on the level of Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man No Way Home, and the repercussions of this movie are going to affect the entirety of the MCU, plus the multiverse is going to be completely burst open. So, this is one of those once-in-a-lifetime events, and as it turns out, it does look like it might actually have bigger repercussions than we thought, as the Living Tribunal has been revealed in one of the trailers for Multiverse of Madness, and it is very, very clear. They put the Living Tribunal right in front of your face where you can see him. The only question is, will he be issuing judgment against Doctor Strange? Or could it possibly be the Scarlet Witch that he's going after, or maybe both? And the Illuminati's name has officially been name dropped in one of the trailers as well, and we know for a fact that they are indeed going to judge Doctor Strange. So let's break down this new footage that we have. And of course, if you're new, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. So we have a new trailer where they name drop the Illuminati, and then another promo where we can see the Living Tribunal's head. If you missed them, here you go.
Strange, it's time. In 10 days, nothing can prepare you for the truth. Everything you've ever known led you to this moment.
Stephen Strange.
The Illuminati will see you now. Marvel Studios, Doctor Strange, rated PG-13. See it in premium large format in IMAX, May 6th.
This universe is only one of an infinite number. Mr. Strange.
Now, I for one can't really believe that they actually showed the Living Tribunal in one of these promotions. This is a cosmic entity, one of the strongest beings in the entire universe and multiverse. In fact, the Living Tribunal's job is pretty much to monitor the multiverse. And this actually sort of lines up with Mordo, the variant of Mordo that we have been seeing at least, because I do believe that this is Master Mordo, like the toys call him. I don't think he's the same Mordo for our universe, but we'll wait and see on that. Regardless, in the first Doctor Strange film, our Mordo is training Stephen Strange, and he explains that some magic is too powerful to contain, so they have relics. And here's our first name drop.
This is a relic. Some magic is too powerful to sustain, so we imbue objects with it, allowing them to take the strain we cannot. This is the staff of the Living Tribunal. There are many relics. The wand of a tomb, the vaulting boots of Valtor.
So it seems the Living Tribunal already gave some of his power to Mordo, and that's very interesting because now Mordo seems to be the one kind of protecting the multiverse as a part of the Illuminati. However, ultimately, if things get too out of hand, that's where the Living Tribunal comes in, and it looks like that's exactly what we're going to see in Multiverse of Madness. The Living Tribunal is an insanely powerful cosmic entity who has existed as long as the universe itself. Like I mentioned before, his job is to essentially safeguard the multiverse. Whether that's keeping the balance of mystical forces, keeping the balance of good and evil, or simply stopping one universe from hurting another universe, that is his job. However, it usually takes something insanely big for him to appear and issue judgment. And as many people know, the Living Tribunal has 3 different faces. The front face, from which it usually speaks out of, represents equity. The fully hooded face on the right side represents necessity, and the partially hooded face on the left represents revenge. And here's what is interesting and what might actually save Stephen Strange. All 3 voices must agree on a single case before the tribunal can intervene. So it is possible that Mordo perhaps summons the Living Tribunal to judge Doctor Strange and also the Scarlet Witch. But like I mentioned, all 3 have to agree on the case. So perhaps all 3 faces don't agree that Stephen Strange should simply be obliterated, because that's the power of the Living Tribunal. He can obliterate an entire planet from a single bolt from his fingers. And it makes you wonder if he's actually going to go up against the Scarlet Witch, or should I say, if the Scarlet Witch is actually going to go up against him. Because the Scarlet Witch is now probably the most powerful being in the entire universe and multiverse. But is she strong enough to go up against a cosmic entity? We'll have to wait and see on that, but I do really hope she does fight the Living Tribunal. That would be epic. Now, what's interesting about this TV spot that shows the Living Tribunal is that it actually looks like the 3 heads that it has are separate. It does kind of look like they are traveling throughout different parts of the multiverse, and then they actually run into the Living Tribunal. However, like I mentioned, since he is the judge of the multiverse, I doubt they just randomly run into him. Also, it's worth noting that there are no variants of the Living Tribunal. There's not one Living Tribunal for our universe, another for another one, another for another one, and there's not an infinite amount of Living Tribunals and infinite universes. There is one that looks over the entire multiverse. However, he can exist in multiple different universes at the same time, making it appear like he has variants, but it is all just him. It seems like a variant, but it's really just him existing simultaneously in different universes. All the same person, all the same mind. But the 3 different heads actually show us that perhaps the MCU is going to portray the Living Tribunal just a little bit differently than we know him from the comics. It's also worth noting that America Chavez is with Doctor Strange here, and she might be on trial as well, as she has the ability to open portals to different universes. So needless to say, Doctor Strange, along with America Chavez, and along with him thinking he is getting the help from the Scarlet Witch, might be in pretty big trouble in the eyes of the Living Tribunal. However, since the Scarlet Witch is basically going to be using Stephen Strange in the beginning of the film, when Doctor Strange doesn't know that she's kind of evil, this might actually be the loophole that he needs to get out of the judgment of the Living Tribunal, because one of them might say, well, he didn't know that she was evil. It's not entirely his fault. He didn't mean to destroy the multiverse. Because I'm going to assume that the main problem is going to be the Scarlet Witch. But how will the Living Tribunal see it, and how will the Illuminati see it? Because in this new trailer that has been released, like we saw, Doctor Strange is in handcuffs being escorted somewhere by the Ultron bots, and then we see Mordo with the Ultron bots behind him, and he says the Illuminati will see you now. Of course, from here we have the scene where Doctor Strange walks into the chamber and he sees all of the chairs, and Professor X rolls up and says we should tell him the truth. Now, we still don't officially know what the truth is, but I'm assuming it's the fact that the Scarlet Witch is really evil. Either that, or it's the fact that the Illuminati are the ones who truly run the entire multiverse and oversee everything, probably alongside the Living Tribunal and maybe some other cosmic entities. But it does seem like the Illuminati really are kind of a judgment panel here. Of course, some of the members are some of the most strongest and powerful beings in the entire multiverse, but I'm assuming most of the time they probably wouldn't want to fight. That's why they have the Ultron bots. But the Living Tribunal, a cosmic entity, being in Multiverse of Madness implies that the universe of the MCU is about to expand, which makes sense because a lot of things are being introduced to the MCU right now, like the Egyptian gods, and not to mention the Greek gods coming in Thor: Love and Thunder. Might as well throw the universal cosmic entities in there to show us that the MCU has really just begun. There's a vast amount of stories and characters that we have yet to explore. So the MCU is looking bright, and let me know what you think about the Living Tribunal appearing in Multiverse of Madness. Leave your thoughts and excitement in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest news. For live updates, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.